Somatic Empath Comes Out of the Shadows by Renee Lindstrom. About Renee Lindstrom from the perspective of seeking out non-traditional and potentially unrecognized forms of learning, yet far more reaching in human function and behavior. I have recently come out of the shadows and begun expressing from my perspective and experiences as a somatic empath. I have been one all my life, yet have learned to mask it or hide these qualities in the shadows. My culture's conditioning did not support them through the organized patterns of social conditioning that is structured for a child. These societal patterns did not include the learning model of how a baby independently learns to get up and walk, talk, and contribute in the family unit. Instead, it shifted the baby's focus of attention when attending institutionalized educational programming. The earlier the child was put into thought training programs, the sooner the seeds of somatic learning connections were lost. This somatic empath has learned that the disconnection from self, body, and mind begins when the focus becomes a singular functional focus of attention. The integration of learning through the pattern of experiences is replaced with thought control patterning. Even when suggesting portions of the educational programming is through experiences, it is organized and controlled through strategies that have been conceptualized with expectations and control. A somatic empath style of learning is through the triggers stimulated by or in the environment. This includes the external and internal environment. The external means exactly what it suggests. The exterior landscape. A somatic empath style of learning is through the triggers stimulated by or in the environment. This includes the external and internal environment. The external means exactly what it suggests. The exterior landscape. The internal is the inner functioning system that includes gross body functions for maintaining the physical system, the fine inner patterns of response that ignites gross functional movement and thought patterns. It includes the condition of the physical body parts. The body is either an environment of constraint creating functional limitations or fluidity creating functional ease. The environmental stimulus included the socialization, cultural and institutionalized learning that has resulted in how information is perceived and interpreted through inner language patterns prior to speaking. The inner language words and sentence patterns that interpret short and long-term memories are the dominant external focus trend in my current experience of society. Without the balance of somatic and empathic qualities and the conceptualization skill development, there is a lack of balance to have insight for noticing what is transpiring in the moment. The mindfulness qualities are replaced by immediate conceptualized thinking and strategies. The last sentence suggests that when someone has a felt sensation, rather than feel and explore it to track the core of the felt sensation, it immediately becomes a thought-controlled series of story sentences, attaching it to memories that form a concrete evaluation. This can lead to harm. It's becoming apparent in my experience that harmful situations are transpiring on a global scale. One's being missed in societies of people living the ordinary, everyday experience with a singular focus of attention. This focus is learned societal patterns that redirect focus off the harm, which allows for a shadow side to expand. Those who gravitate towards violence and abusive actions towards others, including children, have seemingly had free rein through this lack of consequences. People are not witnessing the abuse and violence in their own families or communities. The consequences of replacing people's inherent early learning patterns globally has led to this horrific and concerning cultural behavior. Instead of taking a stand, society is allowing for it to be covered up so that no effort to change it is being taken, which allows it to grow and continue. The socialization experience of being a somatic empath was challenging. Those who knew me and now observe, read, or listen to my material may experience cognitive dissonance. Two things were happening in the past with those in my community who were outside the group of people working closely with me to transition themselves. Their learned behavior was an old pattern of perception and evaluative thinking. This means that each person and experience was lived through old patterns of conceptualized stories from the past they brought forward to interpret their experiences in the moment. Doesn't make sense to read it, yet this is the pattern this somatic empath is met with in each person, unless there has been a concerted effort to transform the inner behavioral conditioning. It is possible. I have observed it in outcomes where people are invested in shifting their pain and fear. I have plenty of examples in students I've worked with personally where they were able to break through their mental conditioned experience, and those who could not. I have examples of video stories I have watched where nuances have been missed that tell a different tale from the one narrated. Now there are stories of fiction that are AI generated that are confusing due to the lack of intelligence in writing out the plot. They are AI generated and AI voiced over, and the mistakes are not being caught. This is what is being fed to our mental functioning process that will further confuse society. The following example is a simple one. However, for a somatic empath who operates out of unconditional love, it is a difficult one to let go of. It is a reality video of a boy with autism who has restricted socialization. In the videos, I can observe he is smart as a whip, yet there is a constraint to outside expression and connection in socialization. In one snippet of his life, he is at a school celebration. He is a teen getting close to graduation age. He is dancing by himself out in the foyer with a few family members. One is filming and the other is speaking to him in a patronizing way. For some reason, people treat those with these conditions like little puppies and speak baby talk or in a patronizing way. An old caregiver of his younger years, who is now going to university, comes by to have a celebratory moment with him. When he approaches her in the same way she would have encouraged him to when he was younger, she rebukes him. Now it is inappropriate, and she acted immediately through that lens. She did not remember that she encouraged it herself when she created a pattern of acceptable behavior between them. The look of recognition in this boy was deeply painful to observe. His reaction was such it caught me off guard and took me into his experience. This kid had socially learned what was acceptable and in that moment took it personally. How could he know it was her, not him? She set him up, and he fell hard emotionally, which then expressed itself through his body expression. The mask that went up was instantaneous and it was hard. It may never be recognized. He wouldn't know how to recognize it. Those surrounding him were so focused on patronizing him into responding how they wanted him to, while pretending to be the it caretakers of someone with autism. It was missed. A problem, though, is that this is his new foundational seed of learning that will condition all future experiences. This is learning through the experience. No one saw that it was her, not him. She preconditioned this through the lack of intelligence surrounding him. This means her behavior was supported by his care providers, who lacked insight into the potential of this happening. They patronized him out of a behavior she taught him instead of holding her accountable. All he knows is that she was a safe haven until she wasn't. I've had friends in the community suggest I write a book about my life story. I also have had a couple of people in the industry of writing biographies write me and ask if they could write a book about me. I haven't known how to respond, as I hadn't connected to a perspective of what the purpose would be. Without an intention, it would just be a tale of a somatic empath surviving horrific events in culture that is disconnected from their core values, or in the habit of distorting them to get ahead in life, and getting people on board to support their bad behaviors. I hadn't learned the intention yet. This next sentence will define the process of a true somatic empath. Learning does not come from mental conceptualization. Rather, the mental conceptualization is the last stop. It begins in actionable experiences and layers of integration of the patterns. I open by sharing that the somatic aspect of how I perceive through the felt senses is surprising my community. That had always been there. It just wasn't safe enough to expose it in how you were behaving. Your reactions were not those of creating a safe environment for which to express it. This meant learning how to move into fuller expression without your contribution of creating a safe space. The steps to do so had perfect timing, as it coincides with the global downfall of society as we have known it, which validates my experiential perspectives. For those who haven't known me, you will get to meet me as an expressive somatic empath. My intent is to plant seeds of these experiences for learning and supporting others that express this way, yet like me were shut down due to a lack of intelligent understanding, or for the purpose of draining my abilities for personal gain. All my content is for educational purposes. I hope it will support those listening and plant seeds for transformation in our society that results in increased clarity, understanding, and acceptance, and leads to less blaming, shaming, moral judgments, and abuse. Please like and subscribe if you enjoyed the content, and be sure to join me for the next episode of learning about the somatic archetypes and interactions that can support the people that learn from felt sensory awareness. Until then, I'll see you on the next one.